All right, so I've got 2 pieces of metal bent, and we're gonna wrap that round top up here. We're gonna do that arch, and I've seen different ways to do it. I found this way to be a pretty effective way. Don't put no hems on your metal, and whatever your depth is to your utility groove, you want to keep that consistent with your legs and then with your round top. And what you're going to do is you're going to make that, so I've got a 7/8 depth, and then on my back going into my siding, I've cut that back to the sheeting behind. I'm going to go 1 3/8, and I use a scrap piece of metal to gauge the depth. That way I know it's fairly accurate. But what you want to do is when you have these, what we're going to do is take this straight piece of metal and we're going to turn it into a nice bendable round piece of metal. So what you're going to want to do, and you could really do it whatever your spacing is, whatever you want it to be. From what I've come to realize, 2-inch spaces is perfect. So you just go through here, mark every 2 inches. It takes a little bit of time, but not too bad. Get all these, and you ain't got to be perfect, you know, it's just got to be close. If you got a bench to work on, it makes it even better. I was using my chop saw stand, and it was working pretty well, but I don't feel like walking to my chop saw. So we improvise. Nothing like using a raised garden bed. Okay, got your 2-inch marks marked out. Grab your fancy little square, and I might use the bigger one just for this. I like the little one. You're just gonna mark these straight lines all the way across. And what this is gonna do is, once you have your lines, you're gonna make a cut from your backside to your water side. This is going to my utility groove, and we're gonna cut each line all the way to the crease. It's gonna allow you to put your utility groove straight piece into your window without having to have it all bent up. You can set it in there, and each one of these 2-inch tabs are gonna be how you secure it on there. I'll show you in just a minute. A little time consuming, but like they say, good things take time. See, we'll give them a little sneak peek of what it looks like when we're done. Show them that one we finished last night. We still have to caulk it to the siding. One thing I've also realized, guys that run your siding breaks, a lot of you guys, if you're like a typical construction worker, you probably have an aluminum square similar to this, or you're using the plastic orange ones. They break, they're brittle, they're cheap. These ones are really good to use unless you're working with metal. It likes to leave the little black scuff marks all over, which can wipe off with a little lacquer thinner or some xylene, no big deal. But I've just discovered this little black coated, it's called a Johnny Square from Johnson, and it works really well. It doesn't leave any black marks on your metal, especially the white. What's going on, JC?
What's up, you scoundrels?
Just making some video content to put to my YouTube channel.
What's up, Lucas's YouTube channel? I was just looking at this. That thing's cool.
Yeah, don't worry. We'll edit and cut you out. Don't worry.
I would do the same.
But
you got a YouTube channel?
Yeah, I started one 5 years ago when I got out. It's called Life After Lockup. And then I've been realizing a lot of people are making waves, especially with like, there's only a couple guys that's actually doing, really just one guy that's doing a lot of metal work on the siding break. And I'm like, man, that guy's good. And it's a dying trade. And there's not a lot of videos you can look up about this shit unless it's like 20 years ago, 10 years ago. And then even then you find those guys and they do very basic amateur, you know, typical stuff
like,
that you
I
see.
can do better than that.
Yeah, and so like I'm wanting to educate and see where it takes us.
Yeah, man, we need more people willing to get their hands dirty and do some real work.
Yeah.
Instead of just trying to be damn influencers.
Yep.
We're doing both.
So I'm gonna square my metal up, cut that off. Now we got a nice square end to work from. And then all those lines we just made, we're just gonna cut straight.
What are all those cuts for?
Well, if you just tune into my YouTube channel, like and subscribe, you'll know.
Good deflection.
That's right.
Good deflection. I like it.
So as you cut this, it's gonna get a lot more flexible. I'm gonna go ahead and take it down to the ground. We don't want to put too many bends in it by accident. But this is gonna allow your straight piece of stiff metal to flex and still seal properly to your window and to your siding. Now I will say, when you're putting this metal on, it's gonna be complicated. It's gonna take a lot of finessing. You gotta be patient. You have to adjust it multiple times, but once you get it, it works real nice.
How many more you got to do?
Windows?
Just anything.
Everything's done except for trimming the rest of that on the inside, and then getting this round top done. Now it's got to caulk all the outsides up. That one there took about 5 hours to do, which I'll cut that out of the video.
So I guess I'm getting paid extra for videoing this.
Yep, and it's coming out of JC's bonus. Shout out to Continental Siding out of Wichita, Kansas, Kansas City, Missouri, Oklahoma. This is one of their jobs that I'm actually doing for them. They're good people, just good company all the way around. So that straight piece of metal that we had, has now been modified to be flexible. Boom. So this is going on the inside. Ooh, get a hold of it. Boom. We're gonna put it up there. All right, so the hard part is just getting the thing up here without the wind trying to catch it. Feed that around. Put it on your line. You want to mark your leg metal, your side pieces, where you want it to start and finish. I didn't put one on that side because I'm pretty good at eyeballing shit. So that's what we're doing. We're eyeballing.
Shit.
Got my little tab right there. I'm gonna feed it back into my utility groove. And this is the part that could get a little frustrating. And I like to have a 1/8 inch pre-drill or whatever that is, 1/8 inch. And I'm just gonna put it where I want it. And about every 2-4 spaces, I'm gonna put a nail in it, a little trim nail. But I'm not gonna drive it all the way. I'm just gonna tap it in there. Just enough to hold that sucker up there where I want it. I'll do another one. I'll probably go every 4. I'm gonna pull that where I want the reveal to be at. Put a little pre-drill on there. Keeping my reveal the way I want it. And we're gonna do this all the way around. You don't wanna start on this side and do that side or go from here to the middle. What that's gonna do is gonna bind you up. You're gonna get more frustrated. Okay, go a few more, keep that reveal looking pretty. Oh. My cameraman is also my nail assistant right now. I only have to reach in the pouch now. Okay. And when you're doing this, it's easier to lay your window down on some cardboard when you take it out of its packaging and have your metal layered perpendicular to each other if you got a wider arch, because a regular sheet of coil typically ain't big enough unless your arch is smaller. But if it's not, you're gonna lay your window down on top of 2 pieces of metal. Put it on your line. You wanna mark your leg metal, your side pieces, where you want it to start and finish. I didn't put one on that side because I'm pretty good at eyeballing shit. So that's what we're doing. We're eyeballing shit. Got my little tab right there. Now I'm gonna feed it back into my utility groove. And this is the part that could get a little frustrating. And I like to have a 1/8 inch pre-drill or whatever that is, 1/8 inch. And I'm just gonna put it where I want it. And about every 2-4 spaces, I'm gonna put a nail in it, a little trim nail. But I'm not gonna drive it all the way. I'm just gonna tap it in there, just enough to hold that sucker up there where I want it. I'll do another one. I'll probably go every 4. I'm gonna pull that where I want the reveal to be at. Put a little pre-drill on there, keeping my reveal the way I want it. And we're gonna do this all the way around. You don't wanna start on this side and do that side or go from here to the middle. What that's gonna do is gonna bind you up. You're gonna get more frustrated. Okay, go a few more, keep that reveal looking pretty. My cameraman is also my nail assistant right now. I only have to reach in the pouch now. Okay, and when you're doing this, it's easier to lay your window down on some cardboard when you take it out of its packaging and have your metal layered perpendicular to each other if you got a wider arch, because a regular sheet of coil typically ain't big enough unless your arch is smaller. But if it's not, you're gonna lay your window down on top of 2 pieces of metal, color side down. Then you can trace your arch. It's gonna give you a perfect arch. If you're doing it in like a brick opening or anything masonry, you know, there's another way to do it. It's a little bit more complicated, but it is still doable. So I'm gonna bring me some slack up, go there, make sure I'm in all the way around. Okay. The reason why we're not driving them all the way is because in case we get all the way around and we're coming up short or we're too tight, we can't get a nice curve. But as you start getting around, you're gonna notice you're gonna run into a little fitting issue. That's okay. We'll just pop that out and continue. Put it where we want it. Follow that little sucker right there. Continental says I'm the best. I don't say it. I let the people say it. And that's when I spit a big old dip into a little brass spit platoon. Later, buddy. This one I am going to drive because I know that so far everything is fitting the way I want it to, and I'm happy with it. So, that being said, put my last little pre-drill. And you don't want to overdrive it, especially where it's lapping over your leg, because I allow my leg, I call my side pieces my leg. Show them what we're talking about. So these are legs. I don't know what you guys call them, but I call it a leg. But as you can tell, if you look back behind there, can you see back there? Look down the leg. See how I let it float? I give it a little allowance to float. When you're not siding the house, you never know who sided it, how they shot the trim boards on. You know, if it's all like crooked or twisted, it just looks kind of goofy. And if you're trying to wrap it tight to it, you're gonna run into inconsistencies. It's just gonna make your life harder. So always give yourself a little allowance. And from this point on, I'm gonna drive all my nails and I'm gonna try to flatten this out as best as I can. Hey, shout out to them roof boys. You know what I'm saying? I like them fellas. That big old boy, he gets down some metal. So I'm trying to get on his level. I'm pretty damn good. And ain't a lot of people better than me, but I'd say that guy is definitely competition. Put one here to hold that tight. Okay, little kink right there in the UT, not a big deal. We're caulking all that. It's gonna look pretty. Okay, so we got a little flappy ones. I'm gonna leave those like they are because I'm about to put a top piece on here just like I did this. We'll do the same process, but it's gonna go over the top and fan down. And that's what we're gonna do before we put our arch on and our drip cap. And then it'll bring it all together. It looks kind of rough now. Bear with me, you'll see the results. So we did the same process that we did on the first one, going into the window groove with a little bit different measurements for my tuck back. So now we're just gonna fit it up here. Being said, I like it. I feel like I'm tucked in good. Okay, so we're gonna start securing this. And what this is gonna do is it's gonna give us a nice solid tuck back here. And then when we stick our drip cap in, now our drip cap's gonna stick out about a 1/4 inch past this outside edge. So it's gonna stick out. That's gonna give me something to caulk to. I'll pre-drill the back of the drip cap once we have it in here. And this is all secured. Drip cap will go on. We'll put a couple of little tack screws or tack nails in there. And then we'll caulk over everything, touch up our nail heads, make sure that there's no water leakage points or anything like that. And then we're gonna wipe this down with some Goof Off. It's like a lacquer thinner product. And we're gonna make sure this is real clean. Then we're gonna silicone very generously on the face of this. We'll make our arch cap. Our arch cap's gonna cover this perfectly. We'll silicone that on, and when it's done, it's gonna be all caulked in. It's gonna look beautiful. I want to be careful not to just jam that nail home. We're not trying to hit a home run. We're trying just to seat the head to the face. Go, look at that. It's already ready, it's preloaded. Shout out to my cameraman, Lance, AKA T-Boy. I don't know if y'all know anything about Louisiana, but if y'all want to see Louisiana, you just got to talk to Lance. He's a crazy coon ass. Speaks all that swamp people language and all that. Old Shelby, the swamp man.
Not crazy no more.
He's still a little crazy, but now he uses his crazy for making things look great.
Now just a couillon.
Little couillon, man, right there. It's important that on this layer, you make sure you keep these tacked down pretty good because that's what's going to keep your face. You're going to be gluing your face to these laps, and you don't want those being loose because if they're loose, what do you think your face is going to be? It's going to be flapping around. We don't want that. Now, we tucked in all the way back here. Wait, you served? Mine? Yeah, with the little cap on it and everything. Yep.